In Harry Potter Wizards Unite, there are 3 professions for you to choose from, and I bet you clicked on this video because you want to know which profession you should choose. Well, in this video I'm going to go over the stats and hopefully give you a good objective breakdown of the 3 professions so you can make an informed decision on which one you want to choose. Now don't worry, there really is no wrong choice in Wizards Unite. There is this weapon triangle in the game, if you will, like an effectiveness loop. So each profession covers the other profession's weaknesses and they all have different strengths. So at the end of the day, all 3 professions are valid and important for team play, and all 3 of them offer relatively the same experience as a solo player. With that aside, let's get into the stats. And to help guide this analysis along, I got a nice chart down below letting you know the general power and bulk rankings of the 3 professions in the early game, mid game, and late game. If you're curious about the numbers that go behind these stars, link in the description to my Reddit post going over the details of this chart. Also, if you came here by mistake and you just want more information on one specific profession, links in the description to my profession skill tree guides. So starting out, we have the Auror profession. Aurors are known for dealing big crit damage and supporting their allies through their various hexes, which debilitate their foes. Because of the power of their weakness hex, they are actually the tankiest profession in the early and mid game. As a result, this makes for a very smooth solo play experience. Very easy, very straightforward. Overall, you're going to have a pretty good time with this profession. Now don't worry, this profession isn't all about being tanky. They actually deal some of the best damage in the end game. In the end game as well, they kind of trade some of their tankiness for this extra power, so the other professions do become more tanky. But overall, being able to just lop off 50% of your enemy's damage with your weakness hex for the cost of 1 focus, which you'll find is really cheap. It's really nice. So overall, if you want a smooth, straightforward gameplay experience and you like dealing a bunch of damage, well, the Auror is definitely the profession for you. I'd also like to recommend this profession especially for more casual players that aren't all about grinding each day or coordinating big group plays. While this does have the best solo potential, it's not primarily a solo profession. All the professions work well together, so if you are someone that likes to do some solo play but you also want to be important in group play, well, don't worry man, you are valid. Next up is the Magizoologist, a profession that is known for their incredible tankiness and big heals. Now if you're worried about being this tanky profession with very low damage, don't worry about it. In the mid game, you have access to this ability called Become the Beast, which allows your power to surge to the level of the other professions, if not even further beyond that of the other professions in the mid game. And then on top of that, you also have access to healing spells, basically making healing potions not all that necessary, and you can revive your allies back from the dead should they fall in combat. On top of that, you also bring the hammer against elite forces. The most powerful enemies in the game, you got a buff, you can buff yourself, you can buff your allies with it, and just hammer down on them. So overall, Magizoologist, it's not just a tanky profession, it is a powerful and tanky profession. Cool thing to note about the Magizoologist as well is in the end game, it does have the potential to reach 100% damage reduction, taking effectively no damage from enemies. So something to keep your eyes out for. Overall, I recommend the Magizoologist to players that like the idea of being the healing support profession. I also recommend it to players that like to have a more straightforward gameplay experience and don't mind waiting about a month or 2 to be as powerful as the other professions. So if you got a little patience, you like healing people, you'll be battling with the best of them. And don't sweat those 3 stars in the endgame potential damage there, because you will have proficiency bonuses against the enemies that you're meant to defeat. So in group play, you're as powerful as everyone else. You're not holding back the squad. In fact, you're keeping the squad alive with your revival magic. Then finally, we have the Professor. The Professor is all about dealing damage over time effects through their deterioration hex. On top of that, they also support the team's defenses and offenses through their array of charms. However, I do have to caution players that they are kind of clunky to play outside of group scenarios. Because of the cost of their charms and hexes, you will have to use potions to use them most optimally. So overall, these stars that are shown on the chart down there, you could maybe count them 1 star less due to this lag that they have. due to relying on potions in order to use their best abilities. Solo play aside, the professors shine the most in group play scenarios where they're able to bring out the best in their allies' abilities, both offensively and defensively. Any team is definitely going to want to have a professor or two in their ranks just to keep everybody buffed and to keep their damage buffed in more ways than one. The Deterioration Hex, that damage over time effect, you can place it on any enemy, effectively increasing your damage through your own damage. And then on top of that, you've got the Proficiency Hex, which increases the abilities of your allies against the enemies that they're meant to be fighting. So overall, endgame experience with group play, professors, pretty important. And with professors, you are able to achieve that 100% damage reduction scenario on the Magizoologists, which is pretty freaking cool. So overall, if you want to play profession with the highest endgame potential and you don't mind spinning a bunch of plates to do it, then the professor is the profession for you. However, if micromanaging this game sounds a little frustrating, maybe a little bit too much for you, then maybe look towards doing the Auror and Magizoologist professions. Also keep in mind that the 4 stars in their power and bulk in the endgame is contingent on their ability to maintain all their charms and hexes, which can be pretty costly, which means you do have to use potions or have Aurors with abilities that fuel your powers in order to keep that ball rolling. So definitely the most powerful profession, but they definitely have a lot of time investment in order to be that. Where the other 2 professions, you just pick up and go. You don't have to worry about anything else really. However, if you're willing to put in the work, definitely a very rewarding profession. Some say I'm in that profession. And there you have it. All 3 professions, simplified, broke down. Now you should have a pretty good starting foundation to know which one you want to go with. If you want a more detailed guide on either of the 3 professions, links in the description to my guides on their skill trees. If you enjoyed this content, you want to see more like it, make sure to subscribe to SwagTips. And if you got any questions on this content, you want them answered, well, comment below, let me know what's up, I'll be happy to help you out. Swag.